Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is, where you is, boys and girls and everything in between. Welcome to our Star Trek recovery. This time we're talking about Star Trek Lower Decks episode 5. And you can hear Rob exhaling.
My voice is just teeming with excitement.
Teeming. I haven't heard that term in a while. And we also have Andre with us, along with Rob. If I could talk, it'd be amazing.
Yeah, greetings everyone. Nice to be back for this episode of Star Trek Recovery. So let's see what we all think.
You're a fucking liar too. Nobody's happy to be back for this shit.
Well, kinda.
Oh, Script Doctor will be here in a moment though. Okay, I was wondering if you were working, buddy. Cool. So we'll have Script in here quick. So while we're waiting for Script, we'll just say hi to everybody. We got all kinds of great people in the chat already. So hopefully some more start piling in. We did just do another video. So if you guys want to help share out the stream, that'll also help get everybody in here. Yeah. So here we are 5 weeks in. Is there another week of this yet, Rob, or do we get a break here eventually? I can't remember anymore.
No. They promised 23 weeks of Star Trek, which it's not a promise. It's a threat at this point.
Yeah, I'm shitting my brains out.
It's okay. All right. You know what? Let me be fair. Okay. There were parts of this episode that I thought were tolerable. I don't know.
This is probably the least. Yeah, you're right. Like just quick. Kind of like overall, like, did we hate it? Did we like it thing? This is probably the least offensive of all the episodes so far.
Yeah.
And
I'd actually go so far as to say that not only is this the least least offensive, this is the first one that in any way, shape, or form actually approached being good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had some Trek elements to it. I'll give it that.
Yeah, it absolutely did.
But anyway, yeah. So, like, the basic outline. Did you want to take it, Rob or Andre or anybody?
Okay. Well, the basic outline is that the Cerritos is rendezvousing with another ship, the USS Vancouver, because the typical Star Trek trope is that there's a planet that is about to be destroyed by its moon, and they have to go figure out how to solve it and how to solve the problem. And they're actively taking the Vancouver is actually the captain's actually taking a few pokes at Ensign at Captain Stunning and Brave or whatever, Mommy Spock or whatever her name is. And there's a subplot with the cyborg kid and Green Tilly about how they like the new equipment and they get ultimately they get transferred off the Cerritos, but they don't want to go. And there's the main plot with Boimler and Mikey Spock 2.0 meeting his girlfriend, and he's so smitten, and she thinks, and Mikey Spock 2.0 thinks that she's some sort of parasite or some sort of succubus or whatever, and hilarity ensues.
Now you're lying.
Yeah, I am lying.
I didn't laugh once. There was. Now, again, though, I like Andre, I'll give this episode credit that there was moments here and there where we got like, okay, this is where the show should be going. This is what we should be getting out of the show. Like, it was not done well, but like the whole thing with the purple people arguing over the moon thing could have been funny. The thing with Boimler and his girlfriend and Maki Spock, not too funny. But it was actually Trek-like. But at the same time, it was just predictable as shit. I kind of knew there was something more off with that other guy that kind of looked like a ripoff of what's his face from Frasier.
Kelsey Grammer.
Kelsey Grammer, yeah. I almost thought it was his character at first. And then I was like, okay, it's whoever this guy is. And then it was like, it just I was trying to enjoy it. I mean, this is the thing, guys, out there. Like, we get constantly barraged with, oh, you're biased. No, we go into each and every one of these episodes hoping to find some grain of hope, some kernel of light at the end of the tunnel. I don't know how else to put it, but it still makes me sick to my stomach. That or it's just because I'm feeling like shit, one or the other. This show didn't help though.
Well, the inherent problem is like it says, like Mecca saying, it's nothing but references, and wherever there's a failure to put a joke in, they put a reference in.
The one place where the reference was exactly what I was kind of talking about they should be doing with these references was there, but it was still a little too on the nose. And that was one where they're in the commissary or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, did you hear about Data? Yeah, I guess he's got like some," and that was in the flashback. He's like, "Yeah, he's got some evil, twin or whatever who joined the Borg or whatever." Like that's the kind of references they should be making, stuff that they are not really seeing, but they hear like in the news. Mm-hmm. Like that stuff I was cool with. But there was a Picard reference, a Kirk reference, a few other references. I think that
Trip Tucker too from Enterprise.
Yeah, Trip reference. Yep, that's right. I was gonna say there was at least 2 or 3 more that I.
But one of the things, though, I mean, Captain Picard Day was just a day on the ship that they had so that the kids can see what Captain Picard does. It's not I don't think it's a Federation holiday. I don't. Well, anyway.
Well, speaking of references, we might as well grab this first super chat from Brian Strait. Thank you so much for the $5. Says references. Did you hear the references? How about the references? References. Yes. Bugging the every time a reference comes up, we should start taking a drink, but we die.
We'd have cirrhosis of the liver by now.
Yes. I mean, I guess that's the upside of this is you could start a drinking game with it. I mean, we knew the references were going to be nothing but just ongoing. Not a band account sends in $1.99. Says boys grow up, watch Trek, can see their Boimler. I guess I think what you're saying is like the high. Is that what they're going for with the show, or is that what you think?
I don't know. So that kids, I want to see myself on screen, so they see they're just a shrieking kind of cowardly little dweeb.
Well, I think that the purple hair is probably going to prevent many from seeing themselves as Boimler.
I was going to say, unless he's getting at, is that what I think he's more or less saying that's what they're trying to do, is say like that's their comment on the nerd guys who are really, really into like the ships and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Well,
and welcome, Script Doctor.
Hey, Script.
Hello.
Well, you still have like not Riker, who's this big like manly man. You know?
There was a Riker reference too. We forgot about that.
Yeah, there was actually a couple. There was a couple of them. There was a Riker reference, and there was one about the transporter clones.
The references have references now. That's right.
Yeah, this one was the episode of references. It just was nonstop. I'm thinking about cutting together.
Sorry, go ahead, Script.
I was thinking about cutting together all the references of the first 5 episodes and just doing like a back-to-back.
Oh my god, that'll be like
there's
video almost as long as the shows.
Okay, did you see?
Maybe,
you about maybe what? About maybe a third of the way through, maybe halfway through. Mikey Spock 2.0. She has that board, the conspiracy board.
Yeah, that's very contemporary.
Yeah, they have the whales. They have the salt monster from the Man Trap. They even had Vasquez rocks.
They had Vasquez rocks. They had a Cardassian spy in there, as well as a Romulan one from the episode that was the Vulcan that was really a Romulan.
They had. I saw a picture. It was in the bottom right hand corner. I'm like, wait, that looks. Oh, for God's sake, that's Rawl. That's Lol. That's Lol. That's Data's child, Lol.
Yep.
Yeah, and they even threw in Bigfoot for good measure. Dear God.
Bigfoot's like, don't drag me into this shit.
Exactly. The Binars were even there. The Binars were in one episode ever, like a first season next gen episode.
1100111010, I think it was. I don't remember the exact numbers.
Yeah, and there was also reference to the Suliban, so there was that.
Yeah.
And the guys that look like the ones on Star Wars, the ones I can never remember the name of.
The Nemoidians?
Yeah.
I don't get it. I just don't fucking get it, man.
Yeah,
I really don't.
But anyway, there were loads of references. But guys, okay, so what did we think about the episode? Like Script, for instance, we are all in agreement that while this was perhaps not a good episode, this was certainly the best one or least bad one so far, with the most Star Trek in it. What's your take on that?
Actually, yeah, I thought this one was on par with episode 3. And I think it got closest to the actual premise of being a lower decks centric episode. Like there's the A story, like the main story was like saving this planet and figuring that out stuff. That was in the background. That was played in the background as I would expect this show to have done from the start. And then we're focused on more of the social aspects of the crew. So you got Mariner convinced that Barbara is an alien because only an alien could like Boimler. No one should be liking Boimler. And then you have basically a side story with Rutherford and Tandy that could literally be inserted anywhere in any other episode. Like, it was not very specific to this one here. And it was basically a grass is always greener on the other side type of arc for these guys, even though it was really just how many references can we put in there. And, oh, isn't it great to see these two officers excited to use this technology but rush through their job, which they really shouldn't be rushing through, just so that they can keep the trinket and bring it over to their their original ship, which apparently is falling apart. And that's new information from this show. 5 episodes in, this ship, the Cerritos, is not a very reliable ship.
Yeah, the Cerritos probably would have been put out to mothball and retired. Cut up into razor blades by now.
Well, I mean, that's not really the case, because the ships in Star Trek last for up to 100 years. Like, they're built to last.
And I mean, one of the other things I have a problem with this is, granted, this show has done a much better job with letting us get to know the characters, but they all suck. The only one who doesn't really suck is Cyborg Kid, and he still kind of sucks.
He could be better.
Green Chick's okay, but she still. Those two are like two sides of the same coin. I mean, they're already making that too obvious. They've been setting so much of this shit up, like it's in her face. And I don't care about any of these characters. I don't care about the dynamic between the mom and the daughter. I mean, the Jerry O'Connell character, whatever fuck, he had a pretty decent storyline that one episode, but then it turned to shit at the end. We talked about that. Again, we're left with the same kind of fuckery we are with like Discovery and Picard. Because like even more so with Picard, because there was a lot of those characters I really wanted to like, but they kept doing stupid shit with them. It was just like, you're really making it very difficult to like these characters. And I don't know if it's just me. Is there anybody else here? Andre, are you the same way? Like, no matter how hard you try, there's something about them that just rub you the wrong way. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Yeah, the characters, I'm never gonna like it. Simple as that. Like, they all need to die a little bit inside as I keep on making them all too hyper and everything. But I will say though that up until the end, where this entire episode fell apart, I actually liked it.
Yeah.
When we were at the halfway mark, I was like, you know what? This is actually a pretty decent episode. Mm-hmm. I'm liking this. If every single episode had been like this, then I would have agreed completely. Like, for instance, with Moki's book on this one to begin with, like, I was like, you know what? She is right to suspect something here. I see where she's coming from. This ain't right.
And I like the fact that her attempts backfire on her as she keeps going and she's getting exhausted, because it's actually showing that she's not perfect. And we got a little bit of this in the previous episode where we realize, oh yeah, the reason she's kind of like insubordinate and stuff is because she has an overbearing mother that's really not allowing her to, not taking her off her own leash. And so that's why she's so, she needs to be away and to do things to feel liberated, because she's always been watched her entire life. And then they, of course, it's a 2 steps forward, 5 steps back with this show. Like, they get really close to doing something that might actually garner and grow an audience, and then they just walk it back right away by the end to make with like, oh, gotcha, this is actually what it is. And oh yeah, like Mariner steals Boimler's girlfriend technically by the episode's end, and you're like, really? That's what we're doing here?
No, they wanted to be more.
Kind of sucked, but if I may continue, and also that just that thing that she's like suspecting something is wrong here. That was very Star Trek, so I liked that. Didn't like how it was concluded, but we'll get into that in a moment. But also, like the A storyline with this moon that is falling apart is a threat to the to like the rest of the planetary system there, with loads of moon and loads of populations and loads of everything, and the way that they were like solving that was very Star Trek. That was very cool, with all the different implications and the fighting. It turned out it was just one guy or fighting for his own house and everything. Like that was cool. That was Star Trek. I like that. Like, why can't we get more of that? And then, of course, towards the end, then came that, oh yeah, this is still an Alex Kurtzman overseen production.
Mhm.
So we basically had to like humiliate the Boimler character as much as possible, dump him from the girlfriend, and which was going to happen anyway, but just like the way it was done, then it was like, oh yeah, okay, now we're back into lower Drex.
Mm. You see
So
that?
the ending there, it fell apart. But up until that point, up until the last 5 minutes, this was good. I stand by that.
Yeah. Well, you're not wrong, Andre. I mean, that whole thing with the moon crashing into the planet or moon imploding, that's what we need to see out of an animated Star Trek series.
That's Deja Q, actually. That's the plot from Deja Q.
Yeah, exactly. We need to change the gravitational constant of the universe. I mean, yeah, when he says that.
Well, it'd be funny. I postulated, and I wrote this in my review, and I'll go into detail for when I drop it, but I postulated that they would try Geordi's plan, because Geordi's plan was like, hey, we can't change the universe, but we can change that section of space around the moon, and then maybe get it back into normal orbit. And because the cartoon shows that part of the core of that moon is exposed, you could say, well, because it's exposed, we actually cannot use that, so we have to find another alternative. And you escalate the stakes that way, and then I would use Rutherford and Tendi as the lower decks that have to try and figure out some stuff with the engineering team to make it work, and have antics from that end of things to keep it lower decks centric.
Yeah, and to quickly address a comment, Josef Petrik said, did not expect praise here. I'm actually happy for you that you can enjoy Star Trek at least somehow. And yeah, it's easy. None of us want to hate Star Trek. We all love Star Trek. I mean, we want to enjoy it. The only thing Star Trek has to do is give us the opportunity to enjoy it. And they haven't. On the contrary, all they've done since, well, basically 2016 or whenever it was that Discovery first came, they went out of their way to give us the worst Star Trek they possibly can. That personally, I don't understand how you could possibly like. If some do, good for them. But I'm not capable. All they have to do is turn that around, and I'll be very happy to like Star Trek. I even maintained that even within the confines of the alternate license, you can still do great Star Trek. Like that's not a boundary at all. You just have to be creative and do it like the Orville. And this episode came close, and then of course it fell apart. But more like this, and hey, I'm won over.
Should we say we give him a maximum effort puppy? Or minimum effort puppy?
Minimum effort.
Too bad there's not a puppy that where it tries to jump
he's so cute.
Oh, he is cute. Tries to jump like a fence and then just ends up hitting a fence that's behind that fence and then falls, because that'd be more appropriate too.
Well, you see, sorry, it's not praise. It's very faint praise. That's the thing.
Well, no, to be clear, though, I think Andre's onto a good point, and I think this speaks to a lot of those people who come to us just basically going off of the basically rhetoric of others saying that all they want to do is hate on it. They're biased. They make shit up, this, that, and the other. No, we try to find reasons for this shit. We have tried to find a reason why it's so bad, and I think we've done a damn good job. And even before I got here, I thought Rob and Andrea were already started on doing a damn good job of showing why, these things were a problem. And, I mean, I got to believe that there's some shaking up going on. 2 years ago, Nicholas Meyer talked to us. And then not too long ago, they just pulled down one of Robert Meyer Burnett's videos because he was talking about the Nicholas Meyer series. And then he gets a phone call or an email from Nicholas Meyer who's pissed. He's like, and he said this on a show, so I can say this. He's like, it'd been nice if, you wouldn't tell everybody what was going to happen in the script. He's like, yeah, but it'd been nice if we got to see it 3 years ago. So I'm almost wondering if Myers, and I've been hearing some rumors about Myers' name coming up. So I'm starting to wonder if a lot of this shit is starting to change a little bit. Andre, I don't know if you want to comment on that at all, but with the Emma Watts coming in and
Yeah,
stuff.
there are changes happening behind there. I've been holding off until we know a little bit more about where chips are coming down, and we don't know that yet. But like with Star Wars, it can only go on for so long. And the beauty with the beer bug is that it has defunded Hollywood, and the studios that previously could afford mistakes and to be virtue signaling all, they can't afford it anymore. They have to become profitable.
And to be clear, Nicholas Myers did say, "Well, thank you for the kind words," and he still seemed friendly.
Oh, there were compliments thrown around, I heard. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was just kind of pissed about it. So to me, it just kind of makes me feel like there's something going on. There's something going on.
Well, the one thing we do know is that regardless of what sort of rumors we hear about power struggles at CBS Viacom, Alex Kurtzman still owns Secret Hideouts. So as long as they're contracted, he's not going anywhere. He may be focusing his attention on other properties that Secret Hideout is working on, but he's still going to be connected to Star Trek. And I've been reading on Twitter over the last 2 days or so, people kind of bantering back and forth that Kurtzman could be out. I'm like, that's not how it works. Unless Viacom buys Secret Hideout and then fires him, it's not going to happen, and they're not going to do that.
Exactly. Secret Hideout has to go. As long as Secret Hideout is there, then Kurtzman is there. So they basically have to evict all of Secret Hideout.
And Gary at Nerdrotic just did his review before we did ours, and he was bringing up an interesting point about how, I mean, we brought it up too, but he brought it up in a sense that it was almost an insult in a way that Emma Watts and the other people hadn't brought up Kurtzman at all in these articles. Like the only one who did was Scotty Boy. And so that goes to tell me that they didn't mention him on purpose. And Gary brought up a good point. That's almost like an insult too. And that kind of goes along.
We brought that up as well.
When we did it. Yeah. But I just wanted to jump to like, well, the other part I was bringing up is it goes along with and all this other stuff they've been talking about with Kurtzman and stuff. Clarice has been like persona non grata. That has not been brought up now for a couple months. It was supposed to start shooting 3 months ago. Now, granted, we know the whole bug thing, but like we were kind of, and again, this is just me speculating. I'm kind of getting to the point where it's like, you know, like you just said, Script, they can't get rid of him. But like Rob and I were joking about, and we've talked about before, it's like, what if they come up and said, you know, it would be a horrible thing. It would be, you know, really bad if something would happen to that Clarice series you wanted to do something about.
It could be possible. Like Clarice is is turnaround the proper word, where that they pass on it, but it gets.
They need so much content right now. Why would they pass on it?
Well, yeah, because Paramount right now is the only.
And they went straight to series. That was the last thing we heard. Is they went straight to series. Now all of a sudden, it's not even brought up.
Well, one, they can't film it, and two, that pilot is atrocious.
Well, we know that.
And I think whoever's over at TV development at CBS right now probably got their hands on it and be like, we can't put money into this, not this thing, no.
I want to believe that we had something to do with it, but yeah.
I'm thinking that too. That ordinarily they probably could, but as it is right now, they're looking at it and they're like thinking, no, this has a disaster written all over it, and it really does. That script is freaking atrocious. And it doesn't even have Hannibal Lecter, and it can never have Hannibal Lecter. So you're watching a Hannibal Lecter spin-off without Hannibal. What the hell is the point? That's kind of like my question still.
And they're not doing anything interesting with Clarice either. So because you could do it, but again, you have to make Clarice very interesting and still true to the character she's familiar with on the movies and in the books, and they did not do that at all in any capacity with that script.
Well, funnily enough, after I kind of noticed that Clarice had been silent, I did a cursory search. Like the latest thing that was talked about anything was like some interview with Brian Fuller from where he was talking a little bit about Hannibal. Like that's the only thing I could find anything on that was more recent. So yeah, it's gone like radio silent on fucking Clarice.
Yeah, They did get an order to series, didn't they?
That's what I was saying. Is like, why all of a sudden is it like?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything. Do you know what also got an order to series? Conan the Barbarian. That got an order to series. 2 seasons. Where is it?
There was I remember I did a video on my channel a few years ago about the bloodbath at NBC that one year after they had canceled Community, and one of the series they had an actual series order was called Mission Control. It was produced by Will Ferrell, and it starred Kristen Ritter, and that got canceled before it ever went to air. I mean, all they had was the pilot, and that was the only reason why we saw Kristen Ritter as Jessica Jones. So maybe we're looking at a similar situation with Clarice.
Never know. Like, we won't know until we know, but yeah, maybe you should read this super chat, Rob, since Captain Hair loves to torment you.
Captain Hair, $5. Liked it. Damn it, Star Trek can't turn around. I'll starve if the suffering ends.
There's always suffering in other ways. Don't worry. We'll find ways to make Rob suffer. Ghostbusters.
The Discovery is just on in a few weeks. Also.
Oh boy.
Don't
We have
remind
5
me.
weeks.
Matthew, $2. Still can't stand looking at Lower Decks. It's so bland. But
The style is horrible. Like, you can tell this is
Oh, the character style is bad. The ships on the
Cheap
outside
animation.
wide, the ship animation is pretty good for what it is. I mean, the designs aren't great, but like the details, I mean, it's a CG ship, so yeah, it's gonna be
that's not hard. You just have a 3D model you move around. Woo.
yeah.
but
Let's face it, a kid with a computer could make a better show than this.
Yeah.
And we were talking to someone last week. Remember, it was Matt Kadish. Oh, it's not so bad if you divorce it from Star Trek, but the problem is you cannot divorce it from Star Trek. They are making a point specifically to remind you that it is Star Trek at every turn.
Jinx.
Also,
Jinx, I mean,
even if you could, I would still disagree with him. As I said, then you can divorce it from all things Star Trek, and what are you left with then? The shit hyperactive characters. So how is it good?
Yeah, script, like you said, script. Mikey Spock is Wesley Crusher and Michael Burnham trying to do her best Rick Sanchez impression. And the thing that was the ultimate, you knew it was snapped back into place that the universe when Boimler's girlfriend said to her, what were his exact words? Oh yeah, he's an idiot or whatever, and you're some badass space explorer.
Oh, he's a dork. Yeah,
he's a dork. Yeah, he's a dork, and you're a badass space explorer. You have no business being together. I'm like, okay, yeah, we're back.
Yep.
Yeah.
How about saying he's a dork and you're an insufferable know-it-all who doesn't know when to shut up? How about that?
That would have been a better line. Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing, then it's still Lower Decks, and it's all about trashing the white male lead. So,
but at the very least, they would have been self-aware enough to say that, hey, you know what? We know this character's an insufferable jackass.
And we're taking you on a journey to make them not, but no, they're not actually doing that.
Well, no, and you guys brought up a point. Like, the show should be what it was between like the bit with Cyborg Kid and Green Lady. Like those, most of the time, the stuff they find for them to do so far has been what the show should be. Now, granted, it hasn't necessarily been executed the best, but
they had one joke there that could fit in any other show aside from a Star Trek show, and that's when Tendi slaps the engineer to see that's not dreaming. I'm like, okay, if this wasn't Star Trek, that could be funny. But because these are like supposedly competent officers, they're the more likable characters of the bunch. They kind of stick to the rules. There's no way in hell I believe that she would slap an officer to make sure this wasn't a dream. Like, it just doesn't seem consistent.
Annabelle A. Morales Sanchez. Futurama had better production 20 years ago. No, Futurama had better writing 20 years ago.
As well, yeah.
Futurama was probably at one time, for a very brief time, funnier than The Simpsons. Probably one of the funniest shows on TV.
That's the other thing. Like, I mean, they got the right idea with like, okay, if this is a show you want to kind of get the teenage crowd into the Star Trek world and not have it be so stoic or whatever, this is kind of the place to do it with an ensign in a secondary ship and all this kind of stuff. Like, it's like they have every element here to make a cake, but for some reason they put it all together, they stick it in the oven, they pull it out, and they pull out a fucking pizza. I don't get it. It's just somewhere between the process, they fucked up the formula. I don't get it.
You know why, Tom? Because Robert Pattinson is baking the cake.
Oh man, can I put it in a microwave?
Can I put a metal dish in the microwave?
I got cough.
Just as it's hilarious, as I think it was you that pointed out, Tom, that the new Batman got infected with the disease people got from eating bats.
That's what I said. Yeah. I didn't necessarily plan on saying it out loud, but hey, you said it. So.
Oh, the delicious irony. But anyway, but at the same time, like I said, the whole thing, like I said, Futurama, we were talking about Futurama. Futurama actually did their tribute episode to Star Trek in season 4, where no fan has gone before.
Well, they did a lot of tributes to Star Trek.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it just, and there was the whole thing when they went back in time and at Roswell and Zoidberg and everything, and Bender's head got buried for 1,000 years, and there was at one point, Futurama could always remind you that it was a cartoon. It wasn't taking itself seriously, because in that episode when they went to Roswell, Professor Farnsworth says, "Oh, now you're worried about history, Mister. I'm my own grandfather. Screw history!" and then it's just like, okay, all bets are off now.
Yeah, pretty much. That was that episode won an Emmy, I think.
That's a great episode, but I don't. It's unfair to say this about this show because it's only been 5 episodes. I don't see anything like this or that any kind of that potential. And I know I'm being unfair because it's relatively new and it has to grow and it has to expand. But this type of television doesn't grow. It's static. What we see right now is what we are going to be getting from episode 1 to episode 10.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And on top of that, you can compare it to Futurama, but Futurama hit the ground running and just got better as the seasons progressed. It was only when they got canceled for a couple of years and they did those movie specials that the quality diminished a little bit because they just lost their momentum. But there's still heart and inventiveness in those shows. And to have a cartoon have to find its way after so many episodes is really bad because, again, it's not like live action television where you can actually watch the dailies back and then figure things out after it airs or as it airs. You've got months beforehand with storyboards and voice recordings and whatnot to really feel out the show and do corrections before you go into your final stages of animation and editing. And it just kind of weird that 5 episodes in, they finally get really close to what this concept should be. And now we're only going to get 5 more episodes of possibly the same level of quality, if not worse, most likely, just because of last week's episode went another step back after going a step forward. And that seems to be the pattern of things so far.
Can you honestly, I mean, you look at all modern animation like Archer, Rick and Morty. Can you honestly say, I mean, there's been decent Andre give birth to Rob at your job.
Say it right.
Andre, give birth to Rob.
There you
give
go.
birth to Robin.
That's from the AI Batman for anybody who's curious.
But I mean,
I figured.
But script. I mean, are you a fan of Archer at all? I keep forgetting.
Yeah, actually, I enjoyed the first 6 seasons.
Now,
sorry, I got water in my mouth as I was talking.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah,
I enjoyed the first 6 seasons, and the Danger Island one was not bad. Their space season was a little wonky, but I'm glad they're going back to the normal stuff for the next season.
But can you honestly say, though, I mean, in a show like Archer, that there's a really bad episode? They may not be as good as others, but can you honestly say that there's a bad episode in the whole bunch? I don't think there is. No,
in fact, it has one of the best uses of the Chekhov's gun trope ever in television, in my opinion. It's got phenomenal writing. I think the voice cast is great. I like the fact that H. John Benjamin is playing against his type for the character he has. And the characters were really strongly defined in that first episode, and they stayed consistent and grew as the show progressed. So you were able to really understand where they're all coming from. And Krieger is like my favorite character. He's like the guy I want to see more often because he's always got something weird going on and a weird background, and there's clones of him and all. It's got lore to it that it was able to inject early on into this original series, which is originally called Duchess. And here you have a show like Lower Decks, which has 60 years of people writing for this franchise in various capacities, and the best that they can do is just drop references to it, instead of exploiting the potential of what that history could be.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what, I'd rather talk about Space Jam 2, and I got zero fucks to give about that, than I would Lower Decks at this moment in time.
Come on, Tom. The thought of the gremlins in the basketball uniforms shooting hoops. Come on, man.
I know, right?
That sells itself.
That's the only reason I have any interest in that, but I know I'm taking it off. No, my whole point is like this show is not. I don't dread it like I did Discovery, but it's just like it's an annoyance.
You're going through the motions. You're just
I really am. I really fucking am, because I barely watched the last episode. That's why I don't think I said as much last week, because I really it took me out of it right away, especially after the Vulcan salute thing and all. I can't stand this fucking character, and it's not because she's a woman. It's because she's fucking piss poor written. She's a Mary Sue and a half. I mean, because even in the episode when she's wrong, she's still fucking right.
And she's still right here.
Yeah. Well, what's worse is that she's still, like in the last episode, you can tell that there are members of the senior staff that don't like Mariner, but they tolerate her because she's an officer and they're trying to do their job and be professional. But, and that is like the weakest element that prevents her from being like 100% Mary Sue, is that every character tends to like and want to be the friend of the Mary Sue. I'm glad that's not the case here, but again, it's the weakest form of trying to like dodge that connotation for her. And in this episode, what ends up happening is that everybody does like her, and even though she had made an enemy of Barbara, by the end, they're friends now, and Boimler's left to the side, lonely and still naked, I think. Like, it's just, yeah, it's they make the it's just frustrating to watch at times, especially when it shows actual potential and then completely blows it out the airlock.
This whole show needs to go out the airlock.
I don't understand. Like you said, the idea was that you do a show about the guys who put the card in and a banana comes out of the food replicator. And like I've said, the worst part is you can see little bits of potential here and there. The plot about the moon crashing into the planet.
Yeah, and that's almost forgot about by the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Oh, their solution was ridiculous.
Just implode the moon, screw it. Take the guy and his wife off that one planet. Yeah, of that one planetoid, whatever it was. Yeah, but
it was like making fun of the rich and not in a very clever way.
No.
Well, got to have your communist agenda.
Exactly.
And actually, if this was an actual Star Trek episode, Picard would have to listen to them, and he'd be like, no, it's our duty to respect their wishes if they don't want to be moved from this one planet if they're the only ones on there.
No, Picard would give him the option.
He'd find another way, but
Picard would give him the option. Well, of course, I can't force you to leave. However, if you wish to return to the planet, I hope you'll be happy there for a whole 36 minutes.
I know he'd come up with a better reason, is my point. Yeah. It's like, but he wouldn't go at it like they were treating it so, again, like they had the right idea. It just
Picard would, like I said, Picard would say, listen, you're free to go back, but enjoy the last half hour of your lives.
Well, here's the thing, like they pulled some, like the humor was almost there, and this is where I feel like they could start getting some footing and start running with this, but my fear is like, just with every episode we've seen, it's like the moment they get that little bit of momentum heading in the right direction, they pull it right back.
Yeah.
And the whole thing with like the whole the two, the cyborg kid and green chick getting transferred and not even realizing it, like that, like you said, in and of itself is a very interesting kind of story. You could see that in a regular Star Trek episode happening. Like somebody would get tricked into something like that, like, and like the person would be like, "Yeah, I don't want to be here anymore."
And was the engineer's name like Ron Emanuel something? And I'm like, really?
Yeah,
they're making like a political joke, even though the spelling's slightly different.
Yeah, I said them. What's the mayor of Chicago and doing in
Star Trek? Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. They
And
think
the
they're clever.
only reason they did that is because of that fake Twitter account of Rahm Emanuel, like crazy Rahm Emanuel, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, the wasted potential of the series is what's really infuriating.
Frag off.
it's a
It's
little
not
bit more
even.
painful than Discovery, yeah, because it has the premise that should just be really lucrative for fun stories that play off the A plots of traditional Star Trek episodes, and yet, excuse me, and yet they just 5 episodes before they got really close to one, and they just dropped the ball like really bad.
Fragoff says it's sex without the orgasm. I gotta disagree. It's more like you're getting a few sexts, and then the bitch totally ghosts your ass. Like that's literally about the far as they go with this. It's just a big old tease.
It's not getting the prize at the bottom of the Cracker Jack box. I don't know if that's an apt metaphor now. I pulled a filling out of a piece of Cracker Jacks not that long ago, so maybe that's not such a bad thing.
Did it fit?
No. Andre, you're familiar with Cracker Jacks?
Not as such, no. I've heard the name.
They probably
but,
have fucking 10
caramel
times
coated
better
popcorn.
caramel. I was gonna say they probably have caramel coated popcorn over there that would make your fucking face melt. It's so good.
Yeah.
I think I might have seen something like that in cinemas. Like this is like some popcorn thing because
Yeah,
that's
you probably spit it
one
out.
thing
It's
that you
probably-
have a million times more variety of it.
Yeah, you
Because I
probably
was like
think it's
always
nasty.
like
Caramel coated popcorn.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what I thought when I was in the States. Like, oh my god, what's with all this nasty popcorn? I'm like, butter on popcorn. The hell is that? Like we only have our ordinary salty microwave popcorn. So I'm no one to speak there.
You know what? I read that recently that the Europeans are not crazy about butter on popcorn. And
Why is that?
No,
I don't know why. I mean, it's just a thing. It's something that it's just one of the differences we have as among the continents.
I think I tasted popcorn with butter once in my life. It was the first time I was in America back in 1995, and I was like, "What the hell is this disgusting thing?" And that's one thing I did not miss since.
I tend to eat mine just plain right out of the hot air popper, just no butter, no salt.
I gotta have at least some butter or something. Yeah, I can't do that. And I hate sweet popcorn unless it's. I can do like this is how interesting this fucking show is, folks. Like I'd rather do like the what's the stuff with like the butter toffee kind.
Jiffy Pop?
No.
But anyway, let's go back to
Anyway,
Cracker
yeah.
Jacks. So that's like popcorn with some disgusting thing on it, or what?
It's caramel coated popcorn and peanuts.
It's nasty. I was
Oh
trying
my
to think
God.
of the other one that's better.
It sounds nasty.
Yeah, there's
There's a
a
few other
better,
ones.
slightly better one, which is like toffee coated popcorn. It's called Crunch and Munch.
That's what I was trying to think of. Crunch and Munch is 10 times better. Yes.
Yeah.
And in the theater,
And to answer
Wayne's
that-
right. It's fake butter in the theater, by the way.
Yeah, it's like coconut oil or whatever it is. It's not. It's terrible for you.
Yeah. And to answer that, Mr. Roboto wonders, what do Europeans have on their popcorn? After they pop, nothing. As a general thing, maybe some salt.
Oh, so I'm very European in that regard. I just pop it and just eat it right out of the bowl.
Yeah, like that's how I've always had popping. Like,
Oh,
there's just
look
some-
at you, Mr. Hottie Toddy Fancy Pants.
So we have ecological popcorn, for lack of a better term.
Mm.
And I've seen like some theaters that have some stuff that they put on the popcorn. I've seen it like in the last couple of years. But as for me, I've never tried that. I don't even eat ordinary popcorn in the cinemas. That's like something that's never worked with me. I'll bring other candy, but never popcorn. I don't even like popcorn.
Surprisingly, I've backed off quite a bit on the popcorn in the last few years in theaters. It used to be my thing, but it's just gotten too.
It's not, if you just get the hot air popped, Tom, it's not nearly as bad for you as other snacks. It's only about 30.
No, I get that. Like regular popcorn in and of itself is not bad for you. It's the shit you put on it. But I get that. Well, it's kind of like this show. Star Trek's not bad. It's the shit you put on it.
The show's not bad. It's the shit we talk about.
Speaking of talking about, did we miss one super chat? Just checking.
Maybe we
from
did.
Matthew Anderson sent us
Yesterday.
$2, wondering, still can't stand looking at lower decks. It's so bland.
Oh no, we got that one. We got
Oh,
that.
we
Okay,
got-
then we got everyone.
Yep, we're good so far. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've been keeping
okay.
up on them.
Yeah, that
No,
was good.
like that's the thing is like the interest in this show has kind of waned. I think we're going to see that in the upcoming ratings now that we can at least get an idea through Canada. And then we'll have more of an idea of how the real normies are going to react to Star Trek Discovery, if at all, when it's on CBS. Do you have anything to talk about that real quick, Andre? Or
yeah, absolutely. So that's about to come. They had like a press release in the last few days, first signaling much virtue by announcing like the new non-binary and transgender cast members or something like that. And then confirming their release date. And I thought that they were like really vague in the announcement whether or not it's actually going to be on Netflix day and date for season 3. I think it is, but
that's the one thing we haven't been hearing. Yeah, we haven't heard anything solid.
They were vague in the wording because they specified that season 1 and season 2 that's already on Netflix. And they later said that the series is day and date with Netflix internationally. Now, it could have been that they meant to say season 3 instead of the series, but still, I thought it was like very vague the way it was worded.
Yeah, I agree with that. That is kind of weird because usually you want, especially when you're promoting a new season and you're also co-promoting the previous seasons, you want to really nail the point home that season 3 is doing this, just like what Cobra Kai is doing on Netflix. They did that announcement, like you can get the first 2 seasons on Netflix starting now.
Hell yeah, they pushed the shit out of that.
And you're just wondering, well, why isn't this a similar model being used with Star Trek Discovery if they indeed still have a Netflix contract for that 3rd season to air internationally, and things might change there.
Well,
and on top of it,
you know what?
I just want to add this one last point because I think there's some strategy to them putting season 1 and 2 of Discovery on network television. And I think it's probably for whomever's in the TV department. Maybe it's Emma Watts, maybe it's someone else. They want to use this basically as the example of and proof that this does not work, so that they can
and they have nothing else to
communicate to their shareholders and to other investors that we need to somehow, right the ship. If it's still a secret hideout, so be it. But at least we get more of an actual controlling interest in how the property is being developed.
So you think this is being put? So you think this is this is a bet that somebody's making?
Can I put this out there here, Script? Let me ask you. I don't know if you're like anywhere near this kind of stuff normally, but like let's just say if in the contract, like since it went to CBS All Access and Netflix and all that shit, like we don't get to see the numbers, and there may not be any like catch all in there for that. Like it may just say specifically like television numbers. Like if numbers fall below a certain point, can they like jump in possibly? Is there like things they can do to, because that's the thing is like we keep hearing about this contract and the things that Moonves did in this contract and why it's still such a pain in the ass, because you would think a $25 million contract ain't that big of a deal in television. Just
it's
pay
not,
them off
and
get rid of them.
That they're paying $25 million and losing more than that on the property itself.
But to what I was asking though, like
ratings, some contracts do have rating stipulations, but usually
that's what I was curious. Yeah,
there's also like I've seen areas where you don't even have to put in the rating stipulations in the contract because the network itself has its own standards and practices for if any show, regardless of who's in it, drops below X ratings numbers, it's goes under review for cancellation.
And that's what I was doing. I was putting it out on a limb.
Yeah.
But that's what I was looking for. That answer right there.
Because even a show that's a hit and the new guard comes in, they just don't like it. They'll cancel it too. We've had hit shows be canceled because there's been a changing of network heads. Just the way
let me put it this way: like they present it to those guys as, oh yeah, we're putting it out there like you're a worm on a hook to get as bait to get new fish in. When really Emma's just putting them out there to get ate by a shark.
Possibly.
Oh god!
It's her the one that's doing it. I don't know for sure. Like I can only speculate. But.
And we got to be wrapping up here soon anyway. We've gone past the episode anyhow. But yeah.
But this begs the question. I mean, if this is the bet they're making, I mean, what is going on the merchandise side? I mean, there's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. I mean, if they're losing all this
nothing
money,
worth
they
of it,
should not be making anything on the merchandise. They
nothing
built
worth
the
pointing
brand.
out anyway. Now, to be clear, there is merchandising, but it's a lot of replica stuff that's highly expensive, or like uniform replicas, which is always popular with like the convention growing crowds. Otherwise, all they have is like t-shirts, posters, things of that sort. The
and old
figures,
licensing stuff
nada.
that's still under contract.
And
older
that's the
stuff
other
is still
thing,
good,
you know, like the biggest name in there, McFarlane Toys, pulled out.
Yep.
So like that's all they have nothing. They have nobody making figures. They only have what, Eagle Moss and
Well,
what's
Eagle
the other-
Moss is cut back. But they, I mean, like if I want to get like Amigo original series, like William Shatner Kirk toy, I can. But like those are the only types of
those
stuff
are
that
out
sell.
there,
They're just in limited. They're still just in limited production because again, the entire brand is a little bit tarnished. But like the original licensed stuff is still okay. It's the newer stuff that they're not really doing anything with.
Yeah, the Brown guy sends in a Canadian $6.99. Speaking of Script Doctor, Canadian brother there. Hey guys, love the channel. I just read the production of the Batman was suspended because Batman. Yes, we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, we did. So you must have missed that, but that was.
Speaking of, we'll have more to talk about that on Midnight's Edge After Dark here in just under an hour, and I think it's probably a good place as any to wrap this up, and hopefully it gets better. But I don't hold out hope. What about you, Andre?
Well, if this is the turning point and more episodes are going to be like this from going forward, we can always hope that we'll have some more enjoyment coming our way. But still, what I think is so frustrating with this episode is that it was actually good up until the last 5 minutes, and then it all fell apart.
But did you laugh?
No,
but I didn't. I don't have to laugh. I don't have to laugh at this. No, I should be entertained. I should be engaged.
That's true, but at the same time, part of its goal is to make you laugh and be funny. And if it's not even doing that, then is it really? That's what I'm saying. Like, does it matter?
That's never going to happen. That's never going to happen with these shit characters and everything. Like, the best you can hope for is a chuckle, but they can still keep me. Like, I rarely laugh out loud from the Orville either, but it can still keep me engaged. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking to laugh. Like, it's like the same with the horror.
Okay, let me rephrase that. You don't necessarily have to laugh to think it's funny, though. But that's the thing. Yeah, you don't even think it's funny.
Here's the thing. Yeah, no, I don't think it's funny. I think it's at best, on some rare occasions, once in a blue moon, mildly amusing. But again, I can forgive loads if it's engaging, and this isn't engaging.
Well, speaking of engaging, we're going to engage into some Star Trek talk on Midnight's Edge After Dark, and like I said, less than an hour here. We're going to talk about the new additions on Star Trek, along with some other news, including the Pat Bat news and everything else, Battinson, whatever, and some more stuff. So please join us there in just a little bit. The link's there in the chat, so you can park up there. Andre, it's always a pleasure to get to hang out with you because you're always so busy. Anything you want to say before we wrap up?
It's always a pleasure to hang out with you guys as well. Would love to do it more often, but hey, time zones. And also thanks to everyone in the chat for joining in. We really appreciate that. So do check out the videos that we post. Try to check if you're still subscribed that you get notifications, because YouTube have really been screwing us with those lately. So yeah, and if you see something that you like, then please help share.
Mm-hmm.
And,
absolutely. Did you want to plug what we're going to be dropping tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow we have something really, well, Alpha J had like a cool commentary I just saw. Andre, you expect me to talk? Lower Decks, no, Mr. Andre, we expect you to laugh. Well, I shall be subverting those expectations then.
But anyway, speaking of tomorrow,
Yeah, tomorrow we have a very, very cool Exorcist video coming up. As you may recall, the Exorcist is being rebooted. And it's not the first time that the Exorcist was rebooted. Some of you may recall the story of Exorcist: The Beginning.
Yep.
Which was essentially made twice. It was the Snyder cut of the early to mid 2000s. Well, we're going through that tomorrow. Plus, we have an interview with a first-hand account that was there will share his experiences from the set of redoing that movie.
And as far as I know, he tells some stories that have never been public before.
Oh, he does. He does.
So you might want to check that out if you're a Exorcist fan at all. And most people don't remember this because at that time was the and we reference this in the video too, but the Donner cut kind of overshadowed that business, I believe, because that was right around the same period. Yeah, it was right around the same period. So everybody was more concentrated on that, I think. But yeah, if you're aware of this or are interested in it, I would definitely check it out. I was really surprised when Andre dropped this on me, and not in a bad way. Like, it was a really cool video, but it was just a pain in the ass to put together because of Windows. We'll get into that later, though.
So yeah, Sander Hammerslage gets a Schrader cut and the Harlan cut. That is exactly right. So yeah, I look forward to that tomorrow.
And don't forget, Tom, the Bond trailer dropped this morning.
Oh, that's right. I forgot all about that.
Yeah. We'll be talking probably. Have anybody else seen it?
I think I saw it. I can't remember.
Well, anyway, we'll probably be talking about that too.
Oh yeah.
If you like The Exorcist, watch Mead later. Rob's head might spin just like the kid.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, check out Script Doctor's channel. We need to get him. Are you over 1,000 yet?
I don't know. Let me check.
You better be soon. If you haven't checked out Script Doctor, check out his channel. He does some amazing work. He always hangs out with us here on Midnight's Edge and Midnight's Edge After Dark, but he also has his own channel where he talks all things like Star Trek and more. So I'll drop the link while we're headed out. Rob, anything to say before we go?
Be excellent to each other. And party on, dudes.
Script Doctor?
Yeah. Thanks for having me on tonight, guys. And yeah, I just checked. Yes, I have 1,000 subscribers. So thank you so much for subscribing. And I hope you guys enjoy the content as I keep pushing it out.
Yeah, let's actually, you know what? Let's Mecca is close to 60,000. Let's see if we can get her over the wire.
Yeah, check out Mecca. Check out all our friends. Yes. Anything else to say, Andre, before we go? Maybe Frankensteinian mess for somebody? Anything?
Well, I really wish that Star Trek would stop being such a Frankensteinian abomination.
There you go, folks. For anybody who wanted it. All right, take care, everybody, and we'll see you over.